And welcome back to another panel here at Ink and Panels. And for this panel, we're discussing publishing, self publishing, aka publishing it yourself. And today with me, I have two premier self published artists here, artisans, comic book creators, manga creators. And I'm going to give them a moment for them to introduce themselves.
Well, my name is Red F Manga or Jesse Wilson, and I am the creator of Golden Mist, a very popular series on Manga Plus, Global Comics, and Shrine Comics. And yeah, Volume 1 is out now. So yeah, I am the creator of that. That is me.
Perfect. And my name's Lloyd Jones. I'm one half of Midnight Comics. We're an Atlanta-based company, or rather, how we like to say, Atlanta's first and largest Black family-owned indie comic book and manga publisher. I particularly am the author of Soul, The Unbeloved, and the 3 stories and tales from Midnight 2. So Dogma, Last Day, and Raven's Omen.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. And from getting just into the kind of the meat and potatoes of this right off the bat, I wanted actually clarify some potentially misinformation that you might not understand about publishing, because prior to us hopping on and doing a little recording, we were discussing how some people might not actually understand the difference between publishing, being self-published, or what it might actually mean to be published. So just for some general parameters, when it comes down to self-publishing, that is anybody who's putting out the book by themselves. So this doesn't necessarily have to be through any like Marvel and DC. This could be you have your book up on Webtoon, you have your book up on Tapas or like a Global Comics, Manga Plus, anything like that. If you are selling your book directly through some kind of distributor like Amazon, anytime you're doing all of the labor of actually printing, actually doing the publishing and distribution of the book, just getting it in people's hands, getting people to see it, you are considered self-published. Working with a publisher is anybody who actually has some kind of contract with somebody who will help you with publishing and distributing your book. And we have two really good examples of that, because Red F Manga, Golden Mist is a self-published book, and Midnight Comics, they are a publisher, and they publish their own works as well as the works of others. So hopefully that can provide some clarity. Hopefully I explained that pretty well. So hopefully if you're thinking about publishing your book, this will help to demystify some of the process of getting into it. So we'll actually kind of start at the stage one of when it comes down to you're getting ready to publish your book. From your respective ideas, when you have a book that is completely finished, so it's all the artwork done, all the editing is complete, it's a done deal book. You just got to start getting into the hands of people. Well, how do you approach getting the book out to people, or what was your particular approach to getting the product out to people?
I mainly just showed them the work, showed them that it was high quality. I think like a lot of publishers look for high quality works and stuff like that because there's multiple amount of people that want to publish their own works every single day. So you kind of have to stand out in that regard. Also show like, that it has a level of community. What I wouldn't really say mainly community, but more of a sense that it stands on its own before it's sent to a publisher. It's its own work that people are already willing to back. Those things showing like Kickstarter, for example. Kickstarter is a great example of showing the publishers that they want this project made. They want this thing made. So yeah, it mainly just relies on that, at least in my perspective. So yeah.
Yeah, and very similar on this end. In the beginning, it was a lot of taking our community, or the community that we were trying to grow along with us on that journey, right? Showcasing just, a panel here, a character design there, and just telling the story of whatever that particular character is, or telling the story whatever that panel is, to build that audience to lead up to, hey, now it is done. This is what we've been gearing up for. This is what you've been seeing. And there's so much more here to show you, right? And then what we did first in the very beginning, we ended up taking it to like local events, pop-up shops and stuff like that before we had a website, really. And then once we had the website, it's like, hey, we built the mailing list of all the people that we've met. You guys get it. And then we took those reviews, and now we're posting those reviews and so on and so forth. So exactly to your point as well, just showcasing like, hey, people like this. People are looking for this. You should also check this out.
Absolutely. Building that audience is something that has come up a couple of different times throughout the day. It's really, it seems like it's a pretty critical part of kind of like marketing yourself at, regardless if you're independent or you're working with a publisher. Garnering an audience for your work seems to be a pretty pivotal part of getting the book out there to people. Um, from your guys' perspective, I would say starting off with what are some of the challenges that you experience in publishing, and how can working with a larger publisher or a publisher in general help circumvent some of those issues that you may have if you're publishing by yourself?
Yeah, building a network, because just jumping in was tough. Because you don't know what you don't know, right? And so I remember in those early days, we reached out to several publishers, tried to get, tips and tricks, right? Lonzo being one of those people, right? And so it was just like we found a manga artist really quick, right? But what we really wanted to tackle was our traditional or Western style comics, right? Where it's like, hey, we want to do, these American comic style. Who do you go to? Right. And so instead of trying to be lost and look by ourselves, we again reached out to people like Lonzo, so on and so forth. And again, the answer I guess would be is reaching out to others to find that network. So he provided us with that list of artists that he's worked with, that he's vetted, right? And it was like, okay, cool. So finding an artist was our biggest initial hurdle. But that all comes from, again, other people already have that network. Reach out and see who's willing to share that network with you. But yeah, that was our biggest initial difficulty, aside from funding. But I feel like that's a whole nother tangent later on. But yeah.
As a person that is self-published, right? So I'd probably say the most difficult thing is really just putting your stuff out there with your face. You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of hard to, do that on your own and create a community from scratch that cares about your work as much as you do. You know what I mean? Like, that has pretty much been my motto, is like, I'm a fan of my own work before anybody else. So it's kind of just putting everybody else on and stuff like that. But that's also difficult. It takes time. It doesn't come easy. So I feel like just garnering a community off the bat is definitely the most difficult part about being self-published, I would say. If that answers your question, though, because I was a little confused about it as well. But yeah.
Maybe I have to work on this hosting curation process. Don't worry about it. We're all learning together. um I totally agree. It definitely feels like some of the biggest aspects of self-publishing that a lot of self-published works struggle with is like what Lloyd was saying, having someone who has a network, who already kind of has those connections. In your experience, Red, I'll start with you. um when it came down to something like printing your book and actually shipping the book, where does that fall in your process of self-publishing? Is that something that you handle? Do you bag and ship your own books, or is that something that's handled through your through the platform that you're publishing on?
Oh, so that does happen through the platform that I'm publishing on and stuff like that. They do deliver the books all over the world and stuff. I would say the only time that it's mainly towards me, or it's came towards me, because I have 50 books that I'm distributing, around my city and stuff like that. I would say the only time it usually comes from me is if I'm like signing signatures, because there's a lot of people that want their books signed. So that's when it would come to me and stuff like that. But I would say that's definitely, I would say, the hardest part about this, because finding these specific locations, because making them be sent to me, I have to send them back to these people that want their books. So I would say that is probably pretty difficult. I'm not gonna lie to you, but it all takes time. It's definitely worth it too. So I don't know. I guess I would say that was my most difficult part of that whole thing.
Yeah. In the beginning for us, yeah, we were getting it all sent to us. We used Mixam in the beginning, and we get it all sent to us. We'll bag and board them the whole nine, and then we take it to the post office. And man, it was fun because you were on the ground level with it. But man, yeah, eventually, for Kickstarter, well, not Kickstarter, for conventions, we do Comics Wellspring, but we utilize a gentleman with Digital Print Universe now who handles all of that now. Praise the Lord.
So there are a lot of different aspects that come with self-publishing. Do you guys mind kind of just diving in through your own experiences? What are some aspects of publishing that people might not be aware of?
Oh man. This one I guess should be obvious, but the amount of money that goes into it, it's a lot. You know, when you're working with different artists, depending on the page count for each of them, the printing, if you're bagging and boarding it yourself, if you're shipping it yourself, just the money that's involved, it is a lot. It could be a lot, and it could be daunting and intimidating, but one thing that we learned along the way was taking our time, right? The reason why we released the books the way that we did was we wanted to come out with a lot fast. Again, looking up to people like Concrete and Godhood and all them in the beginning, where it's like, man, they got a lot of content, and I want that content now. Now thinking, hey, buddy, you got to pay for all of this stuff, right? And so, you know, trying to figure out how to be innovative while also paying attention to the struggle of funding your own project. So that's definitely one of those things.
The feeling of it not coming as soon as you think it would be, like, for example, once you get started, it's not going to just pick up, you know, the second it happens. You know, it definitely is a process and it takes time. And, you know, these things when it comes to money and stuff like that, etc., are great things, honestly. And it's literally the reward to your hard work. But it definitely is just a process. And people, I feel I've noticed that at least people looking into the scene, you know what I mean? They think that it's just gonna come to them right away, you know what I mean? Like they think that, oh yeah, once I get this book out, you know, everything's just gonna work on its own. But no, it's a whole entire process to it. And like these things you can only learn once you're doing it. Like once you actually have this project or product out, that's when like the ball is rolling, and that's when you're like, okay, what should I do next with this? It's all just a process, you know, slow or fast, it's all up to you, but it just doesn't come as soon as people would think. I think every single time, you know. So yeah, I would say just patience is something that is forgotten. I would say it's something that's pretty simple because patience, you know, everything relies on patience. But I feel like at least nowadays people are kind of too quick to getting into this. So I would say patience is the best thing for, you know, an easier process. Say.
That was such a good answer. I should have asked for clarification. I feel like I said the wrong thing now. But to your point, though, no, absolutely. We've seen people that they'll come out with the story and it's just like everybody's going to flock to it. It's like, no, you have to still find people with interest in that, right?
Exactly.
Like, we have a manga, sure, but the manga in comparison to the rest of the stories does not move, right? Well, excuse me, online it doesn't move. At conventions, it moves. So it's like, okay.
Exactly. You have to navigate that. You have to figure out those things. Like, bro, I was working on Golden Mist for years. I think the first 2 years I was working on it, I was going to every neighborhood, knocking on people's doors saying, read Golden Mist. Say, hey, man, have you read Golden Mist yet? You know, obviously, I'm so thankful that I have garnered a community over the years that care about it. But that's the thing. Like, these were over the years. So, like, you just have to wait for your time and it will come. You just have to be patient, you know?
Stay the course.
Absolutely. I find that patience is kind of one of those things that I feel like there might be a false perception with social media that, you know, you put it out there, someone's going to see it. Oh, like, yeah, it's an oversaturated market. I've heard that a lot throughout the day as well. It's kind of, the market's oversaturated, but you still have this hope and this desire that your book will still stand out. Your book will still be something that people will find interesting. So you kind of have this false sense of, oh, I put it out here. People are going to think this is heat. They're going to eat it up. Not realizing, yeah, that oversaturation is real. You gotta slow down and really take a breath and be like, I'm gonna have to put in just a little bit more than elbow grease to get this across. Another thing that comes with I'm not sure if it was said this weekend yet, but a lot of people will talk about thievery. And walk with me for a moment here. A lot of people are afraid to put out their story because they think someone's going to steal their idea. They're going to take their their baby. In your personal opinion, because a lot of people say when you put out a new book, the first thing you should do is worry about protecting your product. How important for you guys was it when you put out your stories to actually like go through the process of trademarking or copywriting your stories or your titles or your logos?
So go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead. Yeah.
I was mainly just going to say that I think it is pretty important. I feel like parts of that are important, right? So when it comes to protecting your work, obviously, I recommend everybody that has a story to do exactly that, which is probably getting an LLC or copywriting your own books or something like that, or just your own brand as a whole. Because for me, I have all of that, just in case. However, when it comes to people being afraid of showing their work because it could possibly be copied or possibly be taken, at the end of the day, I'm going to be real. Nothing's original. At the end of the day, nothing is original. Nothing is original at all. No matter what you make, no matter how unique you think your story is, it's been done before in some type of way. However, that shouldn't stop you, obviously, because I feel like even though these things have probably been taken, you can probably put your own spin on it, because I feel like everybody has a different sense of storytelling. But that shouldn't be a fear of yours, because as long as you're knowing of that information, you have nothing to worry about. But I do think protecting your work is 100% necessary because obviously you don't want somebody to do exactly that. Golden Mist, in fact, has that problem where people have honestly taken Golden Mist and put it on different platforms that I don't even know the language of. You know what I mean? But obviously these things come with the territory, when especially popularity wise, it comes with the territory. You know what I mean? So yeah, you just kind of have to be careful about that and be prepared for those things. So yeah, that's my answer.
Okay. So I wasn't too terribly worried, or rather we weren't too terribly worried, because one of the things that we learned over time, of course, initially anyway, poor man's copyright. We were solid. We had timestamps, all of that other stuff, until we were prepared to, of course, get it copywritten proper, right? We knew that prior to getting it officially copywritten, the protections that you have and that we had at the time, of course, was we can still do a cease and desist. You just won't get any money from whatever case there was, right? So we have everything typed up, right? We write everything first, right? Then, of course, when you put it on your Google Drive or I like to have a lot of backups. So like we write it first, we type it on the computer, then we put it on a Google Drive, and then it's on like 2 or 3 different hard drives, right? So like it's time stamped like multiple times as proof, right? So right there, that's protection number one before you spend money to do it. Then, yeah, we did the copyright for all the stories, for all the stories. And then we, much later than we probably should have, but we did eventually get a trademark for Midnight Comics proper. In the beginning, like, yes, there's a lot of protections that you shouldn't want to get, but in the beginning, like, trademarks cost a lot of money. It's $2,000. It's $2,000 just for the name. Then it's $2,000 for the logo. Then it's $2,000 to be able to put those same things on. Like, there's so many very specific things when it comes to trademarks, stuff like that. Obviously, I'm not no trademark lawyer and all that other stuff, but this is stuff that we learned when we were paying for it. But like, for the logo was one set. To put the logo on shirts was one thing. On mugs is another. Like, it's so nuanced, right?
Mm-hmm.
So in the beginning, it's like it's a lot to do in the beginning. So I say again, in the beginning for us, we didn't focus on that because we knew that the protections that you have just by having it typed up is fine. And yes, to what you said a little while ago, there's nothing new under the sun, right? But nobody can tell your story at the same time. So exactly like you said, with the uniqueness of it, because we've run into stories very similar, right? There was, I could name off the top of my head another story that has, we have Ebony, right? A young lady who's developing fire powers and is dealing with mental health. There's a whole nother story, I think, that's similar. They have a character, oh gosh, what is a Fourth Wall? They have a character, is it Black Rose or Harlem? One of the two. Harlem, another young lady with fire powers that's dealing with stress and stuff like that. So it's like 2 completely different stories. Premises are similar, but 2 completely different stories, right? So how are you going to tell that, right? How many Superman archetypes are there, right? But they're all different in their own way, maybe inspired by one another, but again, nobody has your unique voice. So even if it is stolen, they don't know your vision, right? So I in the beginning, we weren't too terribly worried about that. And I don't think in the beginning for anybody, you don't have to, like, it's still smart to get protections. If you can do it, still do it. But it's not the most detrimental thing. You're not going to lose, right? As long as you CYA cover you behind with what you can do at that point.
Exactly. Yeah. As long as, like, you just can't be afraid of those type of things, because that just comes with anything that you create, like literally every single thing, even beyond manga and comics, So
So put it out there. Don't be scared.
Exactly.
The more you talk about your story and your characters, the more you're covering yourself for the case somebody does try to steal your idea.
Exactly.
Absolutely. And actually, do you mind going just a little bit more into the what you call poor man's copyright? Just more into detail about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So, okay, I don't want to regurgitate anything I said, but yeah, essentially from the top with it is the fact that you wrote it down, the fact that you typed it up. One other trick was to, like back in the day, I have a whole nother story before the Midnight Comics was a thing. But another way to cover yourself is to mail the script to yourself, right? So that you have that postage, you have that receipt, you have that you received this manuscript, right? And of course, obviously it's by you and all this other stuff. It's just, again, another form of covering yourself and saying, this is something official. This is something that was out. Here's the dates here. Again, that's the big important thing, having that black and white dates and stuff like that. And again, no, if somebody steals your work, like copies it word for word down to the punctuation, if you have that, that is your proof. Those timestamps, those dates are your proof that, yes, I did it first. You will not get money for that case. You will not get money for that, but you can still say cease and desist. You can't do that. And technically, and we learned this from a business course that we were in, same thing technically with trademarks. I think there was you could still put like the symbol because it's your intent to trademark it and you're putting that on there, and still the same exact thing. Hey, this is mine. This is what I intend to do. Now, of course, right, there's other legalities and stuff that we're not fully aware of, but there is an equivalent with trademarks as well. Again, those dates and that proof that you have it, writing it down, having, again, shipped to yourself, emailed, all that other stuff, is that black and white proof for you to have that copyright on there.
Yeah, thank you so much for going into that. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was gonna say, I hope I elaborated it up that time. Sorry.
No, definitely. I think it's important to cover that because I know a lot of new creators, especially if you're done with your book and you're looking to publish, you're like, okay, now it's time to copyright. It's time to get those trademarks. And you might be compelled to spend a lot of initial money that you might not have for those costs that might need to go elsewhere when you could be focusing on some other things. So it's just kind of another way to help you is be mindful that once you create the story, it is yours. No one can take that away from you. Just make sure to keep track of it. So that's all. Another aspect of publishing I wanted to go over. We've talked so far about putting it your different processes of publishing, things that you might not know, talking about trademark, copyright. Actually, the distribution aspect of publishing. How do you guys approach distribution?
Oh, yeah. So right now our process is wonderful. We don't have to touch it anymore. Every now and again, just check and say, hey, did you get the order out or what have you? But for the most part, somebody places an order, it gets emailed to our printer, and boom, it's done. In the beginning, however, it was I think we had to, in the beginning, overzealous, was like, you know what? People's going to mess with our stuff. Let's order like 200 or 300 books just to have at the house, right? And so then, of course, we marketed social media, all this other stuff, and then we bag and board it. We go to the post office, and we try to give it to them and say, hey, this is media mail, and then have them ship out that way. We did get a lot of slack in those early days because we weren't exactly putting it in the, what's the comic boxes, the little filers or what have you. We've kind of put it in the bubble wrap envelope thing. We was just like, hey, this is what we could afford right now because we weren't, making money in the beginning, right? So we tried to, cut quarters and stuff like that. But in the beginning, yeah, it was just everything was at the house. But now there's a whole nother guy doing it. We get to just delegate and say, send it to these folks. You got it. The end. So yeah, I tried to keep it concise. Sorry.
Yeah, I would say for me, I publish on Shrine Comics and obviously Amazon. These things are pretty helpful when it comes to distributing these books because again, at least in my side, I don't really have to, manually do things on my end other than like signing people's books and etc. But I would say definitely Amazon is probably the best one for a stand like a what's the word? What am I? I guess I forgot. I guess just like a self publisher. Yeah, I would say for a self publisher, Amazon is pretty much your best bet and stuff like that. Or for me, Shrine Comics helps distribute my what is in my books all around the world, because there's people that want my book in India, there's people that want my book in in Korea and stuff like that, all over the world. So obviously they help me with that. So yeah, I guess that's my answer. It's pretty short, but
And then I guess. I mean, we do it from our website, Midnight Comics, but I think do you mean also like digital, how we get it to people, or just So we also we're on Global Comics and stuff and Nova Tunes. So people were able to find it that way, but mostly everything is straight from the site now for us. So
yeah. Basically I wanted to let the audience just kind of know that self-publishing doesn't have to be traditional. You don't necessarily have to go through you don't have to go through a lot of rigmarole. It really can just be as simple as in Red's case, post it to Amazon, post it through somebody else who handles distribution for you. They take care of everything. Or in the case of Midnight Comics, they have a printer that handles the printing and the distribution. So there's a lot of different ways I'm assuming that also helps out with personal costs, because of course you cover some costs, but they cover all of the heavy duty costs.
And those things help, like Kickstarter as well. Kickstarter is a big part of helping you with that, especially a lot of people that are trying to get into the scene. Kickstarter or, GoFundMes are really good with, garnering the amount of money to, produce these books. So there's a lot of different ways, I'd say.
Absolutely. Final question here. If you were to give any advice to new folks on the block who have just finished making their books and everything like that, and they're looking to get into publishing their own works, or they're looking to work with a publisher, specifically for you, Lloyd, what are some tips that you'd give for people looking to publish their own books or to work with a publisher to get their books published?
Publishing their own books to start off, patience. Just be patient with yourself and patience with growing your audience. I'm mimicking what you said a little while ago, Rev. Just be patient with yourself, man. Like, it's got to take time to build that community and what have you. So have fun with the journey, right? All the rest is going to come. Don't forget the fun. Don't forget the passion.
Don't forget it. Yeah.
At all.
That's the main thing for sure. I would say mainly just understand what you're putting out there. Like, if you are truly trying to take this seriously and taking those precautions that you mentioned, obviously, that I would tell somebody that is truly passionate about their work and that really wants to put it out there, to understand what they're putting out and understand how it will affect the people that read it. You'll never know if it'll blow up overnight, and a story that was mainly meant for you is for everyone else now. So I would say understand storytelling, understand the fundamentals of making a story. Because these things are very, very important to begin with. And, also just having patience with that, just having patience and learning on your journey. Like, it's not too late to learn how to do these things, obviously. And the journey and actually taking those risks is the best way to learn. So,
Now, to answer the second half of your question, as a publisher, I would say, what you would expect when you're looking at your favorite manga, your favorite anime. Now, we're not saying break the bank, but what impresses you, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, come with some level of quality. Again, my thoughts on, we've heard that statement before. You don't have to break the bank to come out with quality stories, right? If you're trying to get published, I was watching the video, and I absolutely agree with this. A lot of manga, mainstream, right? They do a one shot that might not even be how the actual story is going to be, right? Naruto was initially supposed to be the child of the Nine-Tailed Fox, if I remember correctly, right? And it was
that's true. Yeah.
Right, showing all the mischievous stuff as he's going through his journey. That's not how the actual story went. It was just a real quick, kind of rough situation, but it doesn't take a lot to tell a good story, right? Mm-hmm. The second favorite character of Midnight Comics is the Gray. Her first story in Tales from Midnight was 4 pages. 4 pages. So if you can get 3 or 4 really good pages that doesn't break the bank, but still tells that story beginning, middle, end, you did it. You told that story. We don't have to keep up with Marvel and DC, which, fun fact, we went back and looked at a lot of our old comic books. And like 90s, early 2000s. Like out of 24 pages, 11 of them were actually the story. The rest were ads. So like even they were doing that. You know what I mean? So you don't have to push yourself to impress and say, I'm giving you 32 pages. No, like show us the passion. Show us that you can write and that you have a really good idea. Again, there's nothing new under the sun, but show us your unique voice. And if you make it concise, that's great. Just put love into it. And that's really what anybody is looking for, right? The rest will come. The rest will come. But just show us that passion. And
exactly.
Yeah.
I would say another thing too. Like I mentioned this earlier, but it's best to be your biggest fan. You know what I mean? If you simply can't enjoy the story that you're creating, how do you expect anybody else to? You know what I mean? So I would say just take care of that story that you're trying to create. Make sure people, take from it in the way that only you can give them that idea. You know what I mean? When it comes to themes and etc. Like just make a story that's unique to you, and people will catch on. So. Yeah.
Ah, goodness. Truly some gems that were dropped during this panel session. Of course, you're going to see them or have seen them all throughout Ink and Panels today, but I don't think it hurts for them to reintroduce themselves and, of course, tell you guys where people can find you guys online.
Oh, okay. So, again, Lloyd Jones, one half of Midnight Comics. Me and my wife, Natasha, I've started it. We're Atlanta's first and largest Black family-owned indie comic book and manga publisher, and we could be found at midnightcomics.org or on social media as Midnight X Comics everywhere except for Facebook and YouTube, where it's just Midnight Comics.
And you can follow me on all socials, just Red F Manga. I'm literally almost every single place, so you can think of, I'm there. And if you want to support me, you can read Golden Mist Volume 1. It's all in the link in my bio. Or if you want to actually just check it out, all 10 chapters are out for free. And watch out for this year, because I am working with Viz on a one-shot title that I know a lot of people are really looking forward to. So, that's where you can find me for sure.
Absolutely. Well, thank you guys again. And thank you guys for watching this panel. And I'll see you later.